In this session we will discuss the enterprise architect tool, by which we can automate our UML modeling or UML diagrams or generating the UML diagrams. So basically you can get this enterprise architect tool, which has been developed by Spark System Limited, from the enterprise architect folder, enterprise architect tool folder. This you can get in the CD which is provided with the DVD itself. Now once you run the setup, you should be once you run the setup, you will be in there will be enterprise architect 7.1 installed in the programs. So click on that, click on the enterprise architect icon. It's a trial version of 30 days, so continue trial, select the professional. Now you will be popped up with a simple, what you call a drawing pane, where you can basically draw or any kind of either a class diagram or a component diagram or any kind of diagram, and use the same in your technical documents. There are also other tools like Rational, but basically due to license issues, we have not shown the demo of that. But still, enterprise architect version 7.1 is an excellent tool to practice, and really thanks to Spark System to give us a opportunity to ship their tool with the DVD. Now once you come up with once enterprise architect tool starts, you have basically a pane area where you can drag and drop the tools, drag and drop the objects from the toolbox. So what I'll do is I'll just first make a new, let's give it a name called as a new project. Let's give it a name called as customer, and we will select, currently we'll just see that how class diagrams are made using enterprise architect. So let's select class. It will build a simple prototype, or it will build a simple template for you. At the right hand side you can see all the class models. So what you do is basically just double click on the class model, and you should be popped up with a drawing area where you can now draw your classes. What I'll do is I'll delete all the basic templates what they had. Okay, now in order to put a class diagram from the tools, you can drag and drop the class object. So what I've done is I've drawn a simple, I have selected the class from the toolbox. Let's give it a name, CLS customer. Apply. Now if you remember that, as I said, that classes are basically divided into 3 sections. So here you can see that it's a simple rectangle with a class name. What we'll do is we'll add an attribute called as customer code. So customer code, and we will select this as more of a public property, and say save, close. So you can see a plus sign here which indicates that this is a public property. Now we'll add a method called as update, which basically updates to the database. So update, save, and close. So you can see that basically now class diagrams has 3 sections, which were discussed in our class diagram video, and you can also see a method update. Now what we'll do is we'll make a database diagram, a database class called as CLS customer database. This will basically do the dial operations of for the customer class. So we'll make a CLS customer DB, apply, and we'll also add an operation called as update to database. So let's save it. So that's it. Now there's an arrow at the left hand side, by which you can show the relationship between that this class is related with this class. So what I'll do is I'll select customer, I'll select this arrow, and I'll just connect to the customer DB. Now it will tell me what kind of relationship is this aggregation relationship, is this a composition relationship, or is this a generalization specialization relationship? If you remember, all this relationship we have discussed in the class diagram video. So in case you have not understood what we are doing in the tool, please again go through the class diagram video. So I'll say aggregation currently. So in this way we have used the tool to make our class diagram. I will not be showing you all the diagrams like use cases or component diagrams, sequence diagrams using the enterprise architect tool. What you can do is you can basically practice it yourself. For example, if you want, now I have shown the class diagram. What you can do is you can add a new model, right? And you can add a new diagram to it, I'll say rather. means when you select a new project, when you take a new project, it basically tells you that what kind of models you want for this diagram. So what you can do is you can basically select class, use cases, deployment, component. The other diagrams we did, for example, the database diagrams, the domain model, but don't worry about that, because those diagrams are not basically, you can say, core UML diagram, but those are necessary diagram. For example, the user interface diagram, it's more for prototyping purpose. So don't worry about those diagrams, but you can basically still what you called use them to make your technical document more presentable. What you can do is that you can basically select the unified process from here. With that, you get those diagrams which are needed from UML point of view. So the tool is basically just to automate UML, but the best way to practice UML is not by using tool, because you can probably use a simple bitmap or we can say image editor to draw a UML diagram, or a simple paper and a pen and a paper to draw a UML diagram. The important thing about UML is that which diagram fits at which scenario and how to draw those diagrams. So that's the most important thing, because tools are just, we can say, facilitators to make your UML diagram, but they do not basically mean, if suppose you know any tool, that doesn't basically mean that you know UML. So the best way to practice UML is that whenever you discuss with your colleague about technical document, or you are trying to represent him, you are trying to representing him your technical architecture, or you are trying to express your technical document architecture to a third party, in those moments try to draw those diagrams on paper, try to explain him using the UML notations, and that's the best way to practice, because tools will only help you to make your things faster, but they don't really help you to make understand the concept of UML. So I hope that we were able to explain you how tools can be used to draw UML diagrams. What you can do is, basically when you go through the whole video, you can just practice them on paper. Take any scenario, for example, for instance, I took here the customer and a customer database scenario. Try to draw those diagrams on papers. Try to draw the class diagram, try to draw the sequence diagram, try to draw a collaboration diagram for it. Okay, take scenarios, keep practicing them. At one point of time you will come, where you are very much familiar with all the symbolic notations of UML diagrams, and I think that is the best way, or that is and at that moment we will tell that, okay, UML. It's not about the tool, because tools can vary. Probably you can use a simple word and draw boxes and draw arrows to represent inheritance or classes. So probably you don't even need a tool for doing a UML diagram. So in case you are still interested, you can take this enterprise architect tool which is provided with the CD and practice it. But I will say rather first practice UML diagrams on paper. Whenever you discuss the architecture, discuss using UML notations on paper, and when you are pretty comfortable with it, you can always use any kind of tool you want, or a tool which has been provided by your organization. I hope we were able to make you understand how tools can be used to represent UML or draw UML diagrams, and I'm sure that this will be useful to you when you actually visualize your technical document.